this show is here for you. That's right. One more little joy, one more little tidbit for your weekend before that Monday hits you like a holiday ham right in the face. Anyway, I was just chit-chatting a bit before the actual start of the show about the cheerleader thing, the man cheerleader thing. And it's one of those stories that just, it's perfect, you know. It's got legs. People like to talk about it. It's water cooler stuff. And as I said, it doesn't really have that much importance over anyone's life. You go to that job I was just talking about Monday. People will talk about it, but it's not like, oh, my God, we lost the O'Reilly file. We lost the whole account because of the man cheerleader. It doesn't really make a difference. And it's nothing really new. I mean, the media has been pumping stuff like this out for quite some time. It just gets our attention. And I don't even think it's as nefarious as the distraction, because everyone talks about the distraction now. Every single thing that happens is apparently a distraction for some bigger thing that we're supposed to be distracted from. You know, like the Epstein thing, Russia, Ukraine, Israel, Gaza, Iran. Like, those are the real things. And then they throw the distractions out. And I believe there are certain distractions that have been lobbed out to the general population. But everything can't be a distraction. Sometimes things just really happen. And then I like talking to some people when the distraction is kind of important, but not as important as the bigger stories. And depending on who you talk to, it's either the story or the distraction. So sometimes a news story can be both, which is quite puzzling. But it does happen. So I don't think this is a distraction. I think it's just terrible business on the part of the NFL. There's people working there. You know, when I found out that Bud Light woman, not the fake woman that started the whole kerfuffle with Bud Light, but the woman that was in charge of that campaign, that ad campaign, that she got another job. I was just like, how does that happen? How does someone hire a woman that lost billions of dollars and destroyed a one of those products that just had been around for so long, so popular, and you trashed it, and then you just go, yeah, okay, I'll get another job. It's astounding to me. But yeah, this is not really a big deal. It's just one of those things. I do feel bad for the fathers of the of the cheerleader guys. You know, and maybe everything's great. Maybe the parents of the cheerleader guys are just so open and they love their kid regardless or irregardless. If he's a fanoke, irregardless, they still love him and support him, and that would be wonderful. But, you know, when I was growing up in my day, a dad kind of wanted a son to be a reflection of himself, do better than he did. And sports was a big thing. Sports was a big thing for a father and son. It's kind of what you did. You know, what else are you going to do? Talk? Talk about sensitive issues? No, you go outside, you throw the ball around. You're on some kind of extracurricular activity at school. Baseball, football, basketball, whatever. And, you know, dad's interested. How'd you do today? If he went to the games, he's very excited and proud when you do something good. So it's always been part of that father and son dynamic to have some type of a sport thing and for that son to be just a little better than dad, you know? And I just think about, you know, the cheerleader guy. Hi, Dad. I just signed with the Minnesota Vikings. What? Son, I knew it was just a phase. I was telling your mother just the other day, I knew it was just a phase. The Vikings. I'm going to go over to Bill's house next door. I'm going to tell, because his son, he's crowing about his son. He's only second string quarterback. So, what's your position? Sit down, Dad. I'm a cheerleader. Got to be tough. You know, we all hear how it's tough for somebody to come out to their parents. And some of them are very, like I said, very liberal, open, honest. Hey, whatever. But, you know, Dad's sitting in the lazy boy in the middle of the living room, watching the ball game, and his son's sitting on a lazy boy in his room. It just, it's tragic in some circumstances. I don't want to be too, you know, I don't want to be too, I don't know, critical. I don't want to make it sound like dads are all like that. My dad, my old man, let me tell you a story about my old man. I don't think he cared much about sports, but he did want me to be like a man. You know, I think my dad would have been gravely disappointed if myself or my brother Joe had been gay. You know, he'd hang out with me. When he went out to California, he went out there to become a cowboy. Like, I'm leaving New York. I'm going to California because I just want to be a cowboy. Not YMCA or in the Navy, Village People cowboy. Like a real one. And then when I went out to live with him for a few years during my formative teen years, he got me a horse. He got me, saddles, spurs. If I hadn't had a horse, it would have been very gay. I think if you just walk around with a cowboy hat, boots, spurs, chaps, without the horse, boy, that horse really makes a big difference when you're wearing cowboy attire. But I did indeed have the horse. So my dad was very happy that I was getting girls to go out on horseback rides with me. Very excited, even though they were, you know, if anyone knows a few of the stories I've told in the past during my radio careers, there was a girl named Dreamweaver, and I took her out on the horse. And believe me, when the horse saw her, he went, really? I have to put her on my back. But she was a girl, so Dad was pleased as punch about that whole thing. But, it's just one of those father-son things. You want your kid to be that reflection of you. And, you know, if you're not a gay guy, a gay son, I would imagine, I have no idea, for the most part, would probably be something very tough to have to muddle through as a dad. So I'm trying to think what would be worse for a father. Okay, you got your guy, he's the dad, and he's got friends, and they're all knock-around blue-collar guys, let's say, right? They're watching the game. So what's worse? You have a daughter on OnlyFans, and your buddies know about it, and they could see, like, your daughter, well, you know, all know what OnlyFans. I don't have to get graphic. Or you're sitting around watching the Vikings, and you got to point and go, that's my boy. There's my boy. Now, I would think if you have to make this choice, you've done a terrible job of parenting. But I don't have kids, so I'm just, I don't have much to go on here. But I would assume if your son is a cheerleader and your daughter's on OnlyFans, maybe you didn't spend enough time chit-chatting with them at the dinner table. I'm not sure. Anyway, we are off and running with the Anthony Cumia Show. Plenty more. Your calls, 800-848-9222. And we're back in moments. Don't go anywhere. Of course, every week, we toil. We do toil to try to find somebody who has done something, said something that is just so completely ridiculous. And I've noticed, and as I'm sure you have noticed out there, that a lot of the same people keep popping up because they're so good at being stupid, ridiculous, asinine, that I'm very hard-pressed to find a new group of people. They're the professionals, is what it is. Sometimes I'll let a rookie in, but a lot of times, you want the pros to handle it. When it comes to Clown of the Week, I mean, this woman is the greatest. Here she is, Clown of the Week.
The Anthony Cumia Show presents the Clown of the Week.
Yes, once we called her an American, just like us. She lived in America. She has since been chased away to the Emerald Isle. Yes, the land of Lucky Charms. And, it's Rosie O'Donnell. She pops up every so often. I see her more talking her nonsense from Ireland than we ever did here in the United States since, years and years ago when she had her fake talk show. But she just can't stop crapping all over the U.S. of A. from a few thousand miles away in Ireland, where, I've seen some news out of Ireland. They have their own problems with a lot of this unvetted immigration, illegal immigration, a lot of people that cannot assimilate to the culture. And, you talk Ireland, you are talking a culture. I mean, they are very, very passionate about who they are as people. And, for Rosie to go over there, it must be nice. She's Irish. They're Irish. It's sort of a not as diverse, I'm sure, where she is now. But everything she was bitching about here in America was because people like Trump and MAGA and Republicans and conservatives were against flooding this country with people that had no business coming to this country and changing it, ruining it. They don't want to be Americans. So here's Rosie. This one, she's talking about the Trump D.C. crime crackdown, a big story this past week. And let's see Rosie's take on it.
I left because I read Project 2025 and I knew what the Trump administration was planning to do, and now they're doing it. And it's getting very scary. He's instituted martial law in Washington, D.C. to crack down on homeless people. Being homeless is not a crime in the United States. And he's doing all this to distract us from the Epstein files and from the fact that he was there and from the fact that he is a sexual abuser. That's the truth. And, how many billionaires do you know have modeling agencies and run beauty pageants and walk in on the young girls naked and brag about it on Howard Stern? Warren Buffett doesn't do that. No, he does not. So, this man is a disgrace to all of humanity. And it's very scary what he's able to get away with. So I hope America wakes up pretty soon.
Well, you ran away, so who cares? Who cares what you think? I hope America wakes up. I'm very scared. Yeah, first of all, he said things on the Howard Stern show. You don't think Trump is, to this day, an entertainer? And especially back before he was, president of the United States, he was absolutely an entertainer. Part of that was going on talk shows, especially if you're on Howard Stern, you're going to be outrageous. That's for sure. So, he said plenty of outrageous things. Can you take him at gospel? If you're going to take everything that was said on the Howard Stern show as the God's honest truth and gospel, and this is the way it is, then, Rosie, you indeed are a big pumpkin head. I believe Howard said many times that Rosie O'Donnell has a giant pumpkin head. So if everything Trump said on there and what have you, if that's all true, then we must go with the fact that Rosie O'Donnell's head is indeed a giant pumpkin. It isn't illegal to be homeless in America. There are laws against setting up camps. There are safety protocols where, a lot of these homeless people, the people they're endangering the most are themselves. If you gave half a crap about them, you'd want something done. But Rosie doesn't care. It's whatever Trump is doing. First of all, no one was doing anything about trying to deal with the homeless problem, the crime problem. And now you go, hey, Trump's trying to get homeless off the streets. They're working with high voltage lines in light poles to try to get electricity in their cardboard box. Kind of dangerous, but that's fine with Rosie because they should be allowed to just do whatever they want. Crime is a horrid problem amongst the homeless, whether they're perpetrators or victims. And somehow Rosie sees it as a bad thing that Trump has decided, because every one of these cities is Democrat run, and they've done absolutely nothing to curtail the homelessness or crime. So he looks around, and I think Trump works in this fashion. He's driving around in the Beast in D.C., or he sees something on TV, or looks out. He was on the roof of the White House the other day. Maybe you could see a little further, and he goes, what a bunch of crap. He's just looking at all the garbage. And then he gets this idea like, let's clean this up. Let's do something. So he gets law enforcement together and other agencies and says, get rid of the homeless and let's really start cracking down on the crime. The violent crime, especially, that's going on in our nation's capital. And because it's D.C., District of Columbia, the capital, he does have legal precedent to take over, if you want to call it that. That's what the libs like calling it. But truth be told, he has every right to do that. And it's helping. You hear the police and even the citizens of D.C., a lot of them people of color. And they are disgusted with the way D.C.'s been handled. It's their family and friends that are getting killed and assaulted by the horrid element in D.C. So a lot of them are really for this. What you see in these protests that have been going on, again, are these old white boomers and these liberal girls with the hair and the piercings and, geez. And, it finally someone wants to do something about it. And people like Rosie have to bitch that this is a problem, that it's bad for the homeless to not live in a box. I mean, these people are given the opportunity to go to shelters and other places that they would be a lot better off But truth be told, they are insane. They are mental patients that are not in a place that mental patients should be. They're twisting 240-volt wires together in a cardboard box, hoping to get the radio to work. So Trump tries to do something, anything, something that no one else was doing. And Rosie from Ireland, because she ran away, has an issue with it. And she's not the only one. We have a few others that come up a little later in the show, more celebrity jackasses. All right, back in a flash. Don't go anywhere. And we will take your calls next. New York, I mean, obviously, I lived there. I worked there. I feel like I have some vested interest in what happens there. But the more I see, the more black-pilled I get. I don't have much hope for New York City. The state is screwed in itself because of your wonderful Governor Hochul. But the city, I mean, what a double whammy. Hochul as the governor, and then you're really kind of gearing up to have Mamdani as your mayor. And not even like, I gotta make a decision between two evils, the lesser of two evils. New Yorkers are excited. They're chomping to get out there to the polls and vote for a communist Muslim guy who is unapologetic about everything he stands for and says, like it's going to be great for New York City. And it doesn't work that way, especially in a big city like New York, the biggest. This is, the pinnacle of the free world. New York City, Wall Street's down there. It is the cauldron of capitalism. And you want a mayor in there that everything that happens in New York, he has this answer for that is completely the opposite of what anyone with any sense would do. Now, his idea of defunding the police, that was his. I don't care what he says now. I support law enforcement. Liar. This is a guy trying to get elected, and he's saying whatever he needs to cover up for things that he had said in the past. And he is absolutely a defund the police. And that's even putting it lightly. He just wants to get rid of the cops. His idea is social workers and programs. Everyone's got this amazing unicorn view of people and the city. Everyone is worthwhile. Everyone's worth saving. Everyone has that divine spark in them. And there's goodness deep down. And no, there isn't. There are people that are nothing but evil. Terrible people that wish to do nothing but harm other people and do whatever they need to do to get by another day. And that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what it means for the people, the good people around them. And Mamdani's another one of these guys that believes this and thinks that some liberal social program can curtail crime and stop some of the unbelievable evil going on in New York City. And it's been proven so many times in the past. I bring up Rudy Giuliani many times. He was called a hard ass a lot of times. Before 9/11, the guy was despised. 9/12, he became America's mayor, and everyone loved him. 9/10, 2001, everyone hated this guy. couldn't stand him. But because he was effective. He wasn't, nursemaiding these criminals. He made sure things were taken care of. There were programs that the police could utilize, resources that were getting evil people off the streets. And then we went through this phase of just de Blasio. And now Adams, same thing. And I'll call it like I see it with Adams. I think Adams has been put in a position where he is so compromised that he has to kind of go along with the MAGA right-wing agenda because I think they have him his back against the wall. I mean, they could pull out indictments like a magician on this guy. And they're like, you do what we want you to do, and, we'll chill out on your indictments, your corruption indictments. And I think he has been for the most part. But there's one thing even Eric Adams won't do, and that's recognize the crime problem in the city, the violent crime problem, who's responsible for it, and address that issue. There is a terrible issue with illegitimacy in the black community. No dads. The moms they're worse than the kids a lot of times. And they're supposed to be raising responsible, respectful adults that will contribute to the community. It isn't happening. And we could sit here all night long and go over the whys of it. Well, why is it that way? Is it this, that, the other thing? Is it 200 years ago? Is it last week? Is it systemic racism? Is it whatever it is? It is. So to not even address it seems to be a huge issue. And I don't think Adams, as mayor, will even address it like that. And one of the reasons, besides race, he's the mayor, and he's got an out. He's got an out. It's called gun violence. All these guys and girls, the men and women that have been put in charge of these liberal cities, these blue cities, it's abominable. And anytime there's a shooting, they start pulling out the gun crime. Oh, gun violence took more lives. Gun crime. If we only had sensible, reasonable gun control. Everyone wants gun control. We did a poll. It's all nonsense. It's all lies. It's all garbage. There is a problem. There is a problem. And it needs to at least be addressed. If Eric Adams stood up in front of that podium and rambled on with old marble mouth, if he rambled on about some of the real issues in New York City as to what's going on, why there's so much violent crime, maybe people would look and go, ooh, that looks like a guy that seems serious. He seems serious about wanting to do something about this. Well, there was a shooting, a mass shooting. They love pulling that out. Everyone has this concept, this image in their head. When they hear mass shooting, they just think Columbine. They think it's the trench coat mafia, two white kids just gunning up a school or whatever. That is how the media and politicians in Hollywood have pushed this mass shooting imagery that we get. Truth be told, mass shootings, the vast majority of mass shootings are gang-related. These are gangs in inner cities, Democrat-run, low policing, low criminal responsibility. They don't do anything. They just let it happen. And then they go, oh, mass shooting. And then at the end of the year, when they want to put the stats out so they could start pushing their gun control stuff, They go, do you know there were 10,000 mass shootings last year? And everyone thinks there's 10,000 little innocent kids being killed in a school. And truth be told, there are innocent kids being killed, and grandmas and grandpas and teachers, but they're all on the streets during some discombobulated drive-by gone bad. So we had this mass shooting, a gang shooting, in the city, Crown Heights, New York City, at a club, Taste of the City Lounge. Funny, I've never been there. Sounds like such a good place. And boy, how ironic. Taste of the City, yeah. Tastes just like the city, doesn't it? So there was a shooting, and Mayor Adams got up there and talked about gun violence. More lives. I think there were 2 or 3 killed, 2 maybe, and 11 shot. You know, look, I go to the range every so often. I don't know. I hope to hell the day never comes where I would have to use deadly physical force against somebody else because my life was being threatened. I have firearms. Everybody that knows me knows I'm a strong advocate of the Second Amendment. I like going target shooting. And you should remain proficient. Don't ever just let your skills go away. So when I see 11 injured and 2 killed, I'm thinking people aren't really that proficient at their shooting. But that's really beside the point, isn't it? The real point here is it was a couple of guys that had been in a dispute with people at the club, decided to pull out guns and just fire into the crowd. Is that a gun issue? Mayor Adams, is that a gun issue? Governor Hochul? Memdani? Does that sound like a gun issue because they were using the best tool available to somebody to perpetrate harm against another person? Well, that sounds terrible. Why would we need a tool like that? We do. Because like I said earlier, there are plenty of very evil people. Not everyone is this saint in hiding. There are evil, evil people. And as a citizen, of course, of America, thank God, we have the right to protect ourselves with the greatest tool ever made to protect yourself with, a firearm. The great equalizer. A 79-year-old grandma has just as much power as a jacked 6'4" muscle-bound thug because she has a firearm. The great equalizer. It should never, ever be taken away from Americans to be able to defend themselves with the best tool available. But, you know, you could take a hammer, greatest tool ever for driving nails. If you thunk it into someone's head, that's not a hammer problem. That's a guy hitting someone over the head with a hammer problem. So when you get a couple of guys going into the club and opening fire on the crowd because they got in a little dispute earlier, yeah, I don't see that as a gun problem. And I don't think anyone should see that as a gun problem. And I don't see how legislating against legal law-abiding citizens, infringing on their God-given right to bear arms, is justified at all in a situation where gang members are offing each other because of beefs, and now I can't defend myself with the best tool available. Grandma can't defend herself. You know, you get to a certain age. I got to tell you, many years ago, as a young man, you think you're like, yeah, I'll pop him in the head. I'll not shoot, but I'll punch someone. If someone squares off to fight, yeah, I'll give it a go. I might get my ass kicked, but I might win. Whatever it is. you get a few rotations around the sun under your belt. And that option isn't available to you anymore. So you should just be a victim? Now you've just relegated yourself to a pile of victims because you're not physically able to duke it out with somebody 40 years your junior. Does that sound fair at all? Because a couple of guys go into a club and shoot it up for a beef because they were dissed in the club, have a problem with some people, and decide to just shoot anyone in front of them? Because of that, I have to learn how to knife fight? Well, I got to somehow be like Riff in West Side Story. I have to know how to wave a knife now because I'm not allowed to carry a gun. My granny, she's got to learn how to put a bandana in her mouth, have the other guy put the other end of the bandana in his mouth, hold it there while they try to stick each other with a blade. Is that how things go? Well, I don't think so. But that's what they do. They try to use these situations instead of concentrating on the actual problem. Let the police do their job. And I don't even know, this is another tangent, but I don't even know if the NYPD is cut out to do their job anymore. It's been so riddled with DEI and diversity that I think if they were given every latitude and resource to do their job, like the old school cops used to be able to do, stop and frisk, you tune someone up if they're out of line, you could smack someone in the face, an attention getter. I don't think they have that in them anymore. I see a lot of rotund Latinas. I see a lot of beta soy boys. I don't see cops. I don't see cops that you go, whew, thank God when they show up if you're in trouble. Oh, thank God, officer. I look and go, is that the cop? She was just working in the food truck. I swear I just saw her in a food truck 3 minutes ago. So I don't even know if it's even the rules of engagement that the cops adhere to these days. Give NYPD every latitude. Stop and frisk is back. Smacking a guy in the face. Dropping a gang member off in a rival gang member's neighborhood and going, yeah, have a nice trip home. You know, the wood shampoo with the old nightstick over the head. I don't think you could bring those back and have an NYPD that could utilize them. I just don't think they have it in them. It might be too far. Diversity, equity, and inclusion might have just gone a little too far and contaminated the NYPD to the point where they wouldn't know what to do with that type of freedom as police officers. It's not the old days, man. The old cops on the beat with the leather jackets, stirring it up, keeping everyone okay. How you doing, O'Flannery? Hey, I'm doing fine today, don't you know? You kids move along there. All right. Or, something else, but it's kind of what I have the imagery in my mind. All right, people. I promise we'll take your calls. I swear, in moments. Be right back. Thank you for your support. Tomorrow, I will be on with the great Mr. Sid Rosenberg. Might have heard of him. Sid and Friends, but not during his show. In the 12 o'clock noon hour, me and Sid will be doing an hour, 12 noon to 1 p.m. tomorrow, hanging out, knocking stuff around, talking about what's going on. So tomorrow in the noon hour, Sid Rosenberg and myself. Looking forward to it. Love doing shows with Sid. Let's go to Ruben from Seattle, Washington. What's up, man?
Hey, how's it going, Anthony, man? I'm so
good.
Glad to actually finally talk to you, man. I only hear you usually on the old Opie and Anthony clips with Patrice.
Back in the old days, yes.
Just like you, man. I know you're white, Patrice. You know, I'm over here known as the Mexican Patrice. and man, I just want to let you know, man, you know, I'm an illegal man, but I agree with a lot of what you say.
You're illegal?
I am, man, but they brought me when I was 2 months. You know what I'm saying?
So your parents came up from Mexico, and
yes, sir,
you were 2 months old at the time? They brought you across the border at 2 months. And
I actually went under the border. They dug a hole.
Oh, man. And how are your parents now? Are they alive still?
Yeah, they're alive, and actually they're already they got their working permits. They're good. They're residents. I was just, you know, out here living like an American and drinking and driving. I got a DUI, so I couldn't really go through the whole Obamacare and all that, you know. But I'm living good still, man. And oh yeah, I do want to let you know we do pay taxes though, man. We you know we work with the fake social and sorry I'm whispering, but
no. Well, I would whisper too. ICE is everywhere. How do you pay taxes if you don't have a Social Security number?
Well, listen to this. They take out money. You know, we get the fake social, and they take everything like a normal American. They take a whole bunch of money from our pay weekly. The only difference with us is we can't participate in the benefits regular Americans can, of course, such as out of work pay,
unemployment, and
there you go,
like retirement.
Yes, sir. We actually contribute, but we can't access it. You know what I'm saying? So we actually are good for the regular Americans, don't you think?
Why would you? Now, this might sound odd for me to ask this question, but why would you get a fake social so you could pay taxes? Why not just not pay taxes? You're illegal anyway.
Well, because, you know, we do get a lot of benefits, too. You know, we do get Medicare. We do we do get some benefits. But it's just you get better jobs. You get treated better.
Oh, okay.
You know, and people don't know. It's not like I walk around. I live like I live just like anybody else. I talk shit. I talk smack if they disrespect me. You know, like people don't know who I am and what I am. That I'm
right
or whatever. So
do you just walk around? Do you just walk around like your face was shown on America's Most Wanted last night? Is that what it's like these days? Do you just go around like?
Yeah,
is it constantly on your
no.
mind that ICE is going to grab you and throw you in a van?
No, honestly, no, not so much.
Not so much in Seattle, I would guess too. You're in a pretty safe spot, dude. Was that calculated? Like, I'm going to go to Seattle and not maybe go to L.A. or in Texas.
You're right. Yeah, you're absolutely right. But you know what? They're over here too. Actually, man, those suckers are over here. They're over here too. So they do. It does cross my mind, but
yeah,
I can't live scared. You know, I can't live scared. You know, I can't. If something happens,
Ruben, let me ask you this too: has it kept you? Have you given second thoughts when you might want to do something illegal and thought, well, if I get caught, this could roll into something, so I better not do that? Does it enter your mind when you're thinking about maybe doing something a little nefarious?
Yeah, it actually does. It really does. And however, until I was 18, I was under the assumption, I'm under 18, so they can't really do nothing to me. So I was living pretty wild, just like we all do. You know, we all live pretty wild. But my parents raised me well. You know, they did raise me well. So I'm not out here doing malicious things. But like for example, you listen to this. I'm actually in a union. I work for a union, so I get really good benefits. I'm climbing the ladder. I'm 2 years in, and I'm getting $40 an hour. So I'm doing much better than a lot of legal people, you know. So
it sounds.
But it's crazy. I know it's crazy, but.
Yeah,
but man, I just want to let you know, man, that I love what you're doing, man. Enough about me. I just want to let you know that I love what you're doing.
Thanks, Ruben. I appreciate it, man.
You kept it righteous. You're true to yourself, and Patrice would have loved you, man. Still,
I love that guy. He was awesome. Thank you, Ruben.
And I look up to him, and it sucks that Opie is how he is. You know, I would have loved him to be with you. You know, but
it's times change.
You know, yeah.
Times change. I got to move on though, Ruben. Thank you, my friend. There goes Ruben. Did we get the number? Did we trace the call? We got it. Okay, cool. All right, Ruben. Yeah, Seattle. I'm kidding. He seems like a nice enough guy. All right, we'll be back in a matter of moments with more of the Anthony Cumia Show. This is Steve from Manhattan. Steve, what's up, my friend?
I dare everyone to go around the dial. Go to the satellite. Try to find something better than Anthony. You're going to come right back here, baby.
Exactly.
My man. I'm glad your ratings are going up. I'm going to say something. I got other stuff to touch on quickly, but I got to say something that's going to drive your ratings into the next galaxy. And the Hubble telescope.
Well,
the Hubble telescope is going to pick it up because nobody will just.
Connection. Hello, Steve?
I call him Big Bird, the Tower of Jelly, and he's always knocking Italian Americans. And if you've seen what went on in Staten Island with Scott Lebedo, the Italian Americans, to me, I grew up with them, are the toughest people on the planet.
Who are you talking about, Big Bird?
Well, what he's doing, Big Bird has a show, and he's always knocking Italian Americans.
Oh, Howard.
No, not Howard. No. He's another guy. You want me to say his name?
Yeah.
All right. Big Bird, the Tower of Jelly, Jesse Kelly. He's on another station, always attacking freaking Italians. Yeah, he's a clown. He's a big joker. I just want to tell the people why he's doing it. Why he's doing it, because he's a phony conservative, and he wants to show that he's balanced. So he has to go after somebody. And Italian Americans don't get upset. They don't really get fly off the hand. They don't fly off the handle if you talk about them. And he knows he can get away with it. He's calling them all kinds of names. He said this week, I don't even really listen. I catch him.
Yeah. Steve, I got to tell you, I got to be honest, Steve. I don't really care about this. You got topic 2 you wanted to talk about? I just don't care about some other guy.
All right, here's another one. I'm going to go through the whole thing quickly. People should know that Ireland is being invaded. It's being invaded badly. And Ireland's only a few million people there. It could be totally overwhelmed within a matter of time.
These small nations, it is a shame because, we think of America, the United States, we got 350 million people here or so. And, to dilute that many people, it takes a lot. But a small island nation like Ireland, in no time, you have completely changed the complexion, quite literally speaking, of that island.
Right, and plus, you got old people who can't walk out of their houses at night because they're afraid of being attacked, and they are being attacked. That's outrageous. And I know a lot of Americans will help Ireland. That's for sure. They should know that. But the thing is also, that caller before, listen, these illegals are filing 3, 4, 5 tax returns. They're using phony tax.
I knew you guys weren't going to like that call.
Right.
So they're filing phony tax forms, and things.
Phony Social Security numbers, and they get tax ID numbers too. They use, and they get all the big deductions, and they get back checks for 5, 10, 15,000. Some of them put down they have 10 kids. Obviously, when Biden was the president, nobody was checking that out, and they were getting away with that. They're ripping off our system. They're milking it dry. And obviously, and plus, a lot of people are getting confused with this Social Security thing, no taxes. From what I've seen of it with this new big, beautiful bill, Trump's got all these funny names. Who's his writer? The thing is, it's going to be, this is what I see. If you're 65 years old and you're a single filer, you're going to get a $6,000 deduction on top of other deductions that you get on your taxes. So it'll lower your taxes and you'll pay less. That's what's going to happen. And
nothing gets ratings like tax talk, Steve. So
no, I'm not. I just want to let people know. There's a lot of people in the audience.
Well, you said you were going to get my ratings through the roof, and now you're talking tax deductions.
We're going to get them through the roof.
The H&R Block or something.
Yeah, no. Listen, people love this kind of stuff. And also, this is what also got me banned from sports radio. In America, a kid has to be 17 years old to be signed to a baseball contract. in the minor leagues. But in the other countries from Latin America and the Caribbean, they could sign them at 16 years old. Those kids have a big advantage being signed at 16 years old and being in the Yankee farm system than an American kid who's got to go to school. He's got to do all, his work. He's got to get a
lightning happening
job.
here. I hope it doesn't hit the phone line. It just, oh man, yep. A bolt of lightning just hit the phone line and we lost Steve. I apologize, Steve. Call back is all I can tell Steve. Anyway. Sticking with New York a little bit, Governor Hochul and this illegal alien thing. This is, it's believable. I was going to say unbelievable. Where's the story? Here, I got it right here. I was going to say unbelievable, but totally believable because it's a Democrat and it's Hochul and it involves illegals. She, governors have the I guess, what do we call it? Not a right, whatever it is. They can grant clemency. They can take people that are in prison, criminals, and get them out of prison. They could give them clemency. They could put them back out on the streets. And in the case of illegal aliens, you can make it so they can't be deported for crimes. They've committed crimes. First of all, they're here illegally. That's a crime. But Hochul granted clemency to 13 individuals, including a person convicted of manslaughter. Now, I don't even like when they do this with American citizens, where somebody years ago kills someone. And they've been in prison. They're in there 25 years. I don't care how long they're in there. And then they go, wow, what an amazing person. I mean, they've been an amazing prisoner. They haven't done anything bad. Yeah, you're in prison. They helped other inmates, like it's Shawshank. Like it's Andy Dufresne. He's down there in the library helping people get their diploma. That isn't what's happening in prison. You have to behave. It's prison. So they look and they go, well, this person really deserves to get out. And just because time went by, and they decided to pick up a Bible or a Quran or whatever religion they decide to practice, and then what happens? They go, "What a great person! Let's let them out." Why? I think the punishment factor is the top number one thing with prison. I'm not into the whole rehabilitation thing. Maybe in some cases where it's not someone getting killed, because that person's not coming back. And when they were sentenced to life in prison for killing someone, that's got to be pretty horrific to someone. Don't you want that to kind of continue? 25 years later, you go, well, I'm still here till I'm dead. That's part of it. That's part of the horror of prison and paying your debt to society to be removed from society. So the idea that you get to, years later, you kind of washed away the nightmare for the family of the dead person? You think they're all fine and well with letting someone out because they had to behave in prison? So, that's one thing I don't like about clemency and letting people out because they're such good murderers. They were a good murderer in prison. But when they're illegals and Governor Hochul is granting them clemency for no other reason than to prevent them from being deported. That, to me, is a crime. She should be locked up. Lock her up. She is interfering with a government agency, with ICE, to remove illegals from this country. Trying to make an end run on this thing. So she granted clemency 13 individuals on this past Friday, including pardons for various convictions, such as drug possession, attempted robbery, and arson. Little arson for you. There you go. One of the individuals pardoned this week has been convicted of first-degree manslaughter in 1990. So people go, it's manslaughter. It's 1990. Well, the person's still dead. The manslaughtered person is still very dead. And you know, who knows what man. If you're convicted of first-degree manslaughter, by the way, you were charged with murder. That's how that goes. You were charged with murder. You were arrested for murder. The grand jury came back with murder. You somehow got it down to manslaughter. And then, it's 1990. That was forever ago. That was, whatever. It's 19? It's 2000 something now. No, I don't go for that. And especially with an illegal that she's trying to keep in the country. And these are the Democrats, the liberals, the wonderful people that are telling you constantly that they are for democracy. They are for the people. And whenever anything about crime comes up, they are the party of safety and law and order, not like the 34 felony president we have. Oh, the guy that it's actually peaceful and quiet in D.C. now, where cops are walking around going, this is amazing. Where citizens are walking around going, we've never been able to walk in this park. That's the guy that's terrible. The governor of New York that's letting 13, some of them felons, others, they're all criminals, just for the reason that they cannot be deported. That's your party of law and order and your saviors of democracy.
Hi, Anthony. Good. I'm still melting from this horrible weather, but other than that, I'm just fabulous.
It's not the heat. It's all right. We get it.
Yep. Well, regarding this shooting incident at that club that you were talking about.
Sounds like a great place, yeah.
I used to sell insurance, and one of our phrases that we used to use was, it's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. And the same applies to a firearm.
Yes.
In that situation and every other situation. And I wouldn't be a bit surprised if any of those weapons that were fired, I don't know, there were 36 shots. I think that's what Commissioner Tisch stated. Yeah. I would doubt highly if any of those firearms were legal. So, same story, different day.
They're never legal firearms. They're never held by anyone that is legally allowed to carry firearms. A lot of these people are either convicted felons that are already out, or they already have a litany of prior charges that are pending while they're out on some type of non-bail. They're wearing ankle monitors, and they're slinging guns around. The legal law-abiding gun owners are, for the most part, there's always anomalies, but the vast majority, very safe, trained, they enjoy shooting. And, yes, I'd rather have a gun and not need it than need a gun and not have it. I've read and seen stories, you're in a hotel. What do you watch? Forensic Files. You watch all those crime shows. There are certain circumstances where I could not imagine the horror of the family member, especially the dad, the husband, when there's a home invasion or somebody is doing harm to a guy's family, and he doesn't have anything to protect his family with. And I got to think, no matter how liberal they are, no matter how anti-gun they are, you got to know that somewhere in that dumb noggin knocking around is, oh, my God, I wish I had a gun right now. Yeah. Thank you, Jacqueline. Jacqueline couldn't take it. She was listening to me, my sultry voice, and just hung up the phone. But that's, I've seen so many of these situations where there's a nightmarish story from years back in Connecticut, a doctor and his wife and kids, and two guys broke in, and I think it was their plan was the wife worked at a bank, and they were going to hold the family hostage while the woman went to the bank and got them money. And it just went sideways real fast. And the husband somehow managed to escape, and the entire family was just killed. And the two daughters killed in a horrific way. I don't even want to touch on that here on this program. It's so bad. But you can only imagine the husband going, if I had a gun, if I had the great equalizer, if I had a tool that I could have used to protect my family, protecting the job, the paramount, first and foremost job I have in my life, protecting my family, and I failed miserably. Why? Didn't have a gun? Didn't have a tool. You didn't have a tool. I got to drive a nail. I don't have a hammer. I need to drill a hole. I don't have a Makita. Whatever. Better to, yes, have a gun. It really is. And there are plenty of safety. I mean, you hear all the time, well, how many kids are killed with guns? Well, there's another issue. A gun is a great responsibility. And if you do have a family and young children and you want to have a gun to protect yourself, you damn well better do whatever's necessary now to protect your family against this very powerful tool. Me, thank God, I don't have any kids. I leave them laying around like coasters. Oh, yeah, there's a 45 over there. One by the toilet. You never know. One by the TV, the remote. Sometimes I pick up the 380 and I'm trying to change the channel. I put holes in the television. It's crazy. Harriet.
It's a pleasure speaking to you and listening to you every week.
Thank you.
I miss Roger Stone's broadcast, and he had Crazy Eddie's brother, who's a forensic accountant. He had bombshell information about
Eddie Antner from Crazy Eddie. You're talking about?
Yeah. The brother is a forensic. If you could research that, but I missed it. Or have Cassimatidis over.
Video games to play, Harriet.
What I got to tell you, this guy. You know that the guy is Muslim Brotherhood, right?
Yeah.
And he that means he's a follower of Hajj Amin El Husseini. It's unique that Obama's name is Husseini, too. This was the Grand Mufti of Jerusalem. His plan was to wipe out Western civilization during World War II, along with Adolf Hitler. So Montgomery won the Battle of El Alamein, and that was one step in saving our Western civilization. But this man, Danny, is a follower he is a Muslim Brotherhood. Anything that you could find out to take him out. I can't understand how he is on the ballot in the first place.
I don't know how he's on the ballot, but even more surprising is how popular this guy is. Like I said earlier, the lesser of two evils would have been like, all right, who am I going to get, Adams or this guy? Meanwhile, you have Curtis. If you're a Republican, get your ass out of your seat on Election Day and vote for Curtis. Other than that, though, it's like, how... Are they stupid? Are they uninformed? What makes such passion for this guy in New Yorkers? How did they look at this guy and go, yes, he's the guy I want for mayor?
They're idiots. He's a jihadist. He's a proxy of Iran. I mean, but any information, even on your next show, maybe interview Roger Stone about what exactly Eddie Antar's brother, the new information that he has on this bum. He got $1.7 million from the New York Campaign Finance Fund.
Amazing.
Insane.
Amazing. I don't know how it's being done.
Yeah, well, I don't know.
I don't know.
Well, look,
Harriet, but thank you for calling, Harriet. I do appreciate your call from Brooklyn, New York. There goes Harriet. I didn't know Eddie Antner's brother was like a finance guy. That's kind of weird because Eddie Antner was just a criminal. Crazy Eddie. His prices are insane. His accounting is insane. Remember the commercials? We could sit here and play Remember When. It's Christmas in July. That guy was nuts. He was on the TV all the time in New York. We loved him. Let's see. What do we got? All right. I could do that. And then next we'll talk about, oh, yeah, this is great. Rubio. You know, the media is such, do I have to say it? I don't have to say it because it's a bad word I can't say on FCC-regulated amplitude modulation. But you can't come up with a word bad enough. You know the word that if you're having a fight with your girlfriend or wife, and if you said that one word, the previous argument disappears, and you are in a whole new argument that is 800 times worse than the argument you were just in? That, my friends, is the word for the media. And I think you know what it is. Yeah, Rubio blasts Margaret Brennan. She's talking about the Russia-Ukraine negotiations with Putin. We'll come back and talk about that because that's a big story. They always want to trash Trump on these things. We are talking about, of course, the media. Donald Trump, our president, had a meeting with Vladimir Putin in Alaska. And the optics were pretty interesting. I'll say that. The little red carpet thing. It was weird. Not weird. It's pure Donald Trump. Trump had this red carpet that was like 10 feet wide coming off of Air Force One. And then Putin had this little tiny strip like a Christmas ribbon going from his plane, and it intersected with Trump's 10-foot wide red carpet. So Trump gets to the point where the little ribbon met his carpet and stops and makes Putin walk toward him. He does the Trump handshake where he pulls him in. So that was interesting. It was really funny to see the difference in red carpet sizes. And I know some people have problems with just the fact that Putin was given the dignity of a red carpet at all. But look, he's a world leader, very powerful. You're going to do what you have to do. That's politics. That's the way you're supposed to treat foreign dignitaries. And then as they're walking to the Beast, which is Trump's vehicle, they both got in the back seat. It kind of looked weird. I wanted him to turn around and wave out the back window like Grease, like John Travolta and Olivia Newton-John, and then just fly away. Didn't happen, oddly enough. But then Trump had ordered a flyover of was it B-1? The B-1 bombers? One B-1 bomber and a few fighter escorts. And it just, it was right over their heads. So they're kind of looking up, and Putin's been around, though, long enough. I don't think people really understand this. Putin has been in charge of Russia on and off for a long time. And before he was in charge, during the years of the Soviet Union, he was a big man on campus with the KGB, and just he is a solid name in Russia and in the previous USSR. Dragonfly to Wolf's Den. Colorful names. Rambo, right? So you got the two of them, and they're going to talk about Ukraine. And they go in, they have a little chit-chat, and there's all expectations, of course. And when it's all said and done, they leave, and Trump says, yeah, no, we didn't really come to any conclusions. We talked. He doesn't want a ceasefire. He wants a complete end to this. Obviously, he wants land. Ukraine doesn't. A lot of Americans don't like Putin at all. We all know the story. But the media just could not help but jump on and go, big nothing. Look at that. Trump making promises, and what came out of it? Nothing. He gave Putin a red carpet. He shook his hand. He gave him credibility. And what did they get? Can we look back at the Biden administration? Was anything done to even make the slightest attempt to end that war under Joe Biden? All the war hawks were dumping money and weapons into that war. And by the way, we dump money and weapons, and Russia and Ukraine are dumping bodies. You know, every weapon and dollar we send over has an exchange rate in Russian and Ukrainian lives. Just a meat grinder. And no one cared. If anyone even suggested that money or weapons shouldn't be sent to Ukraine, you were a Putin puppet. You hate the fine people of Ukraine. And meanwhile, the whole goal here is to stop the war. And what has Trump done other than really try to stop this war? Talking to both principal players, trying to stop the influx of money and weapons that just is perpetuating this carnage. And he's the bad guy. The guy really trying. Is he succeeding? Doesn't look like it. You know, I would love for Trump to come out. It's all over. Done. Dunsky. But it's not happening. A lot of wars are at the negotiation table for many, many years, and sometimes nothing ever happens. But to try to trash him for trying, when for 4 years under Joe Biden, or, you know, once they started the conflict, every minute of the Biden administration was dedicated to pumping out money and weapons to keep that killing going, without a word being uttered about maybe coming to a table and talking things out. Having Putin, having Zelensky, and talking to them and seeing if something can be done. And they're the caring party, the Dems. They care. Saving democracy. That's it. The Republic of evil, terrible people. Right? So here's Rubio, Lil Marco. I still can't get it in my head. Boy, Trump really, when he brands somebody, even when he becomes friendly with them or business associate or, you know, same administration, you just can't get it out of your head. Look at little Marco drinking his water. It's just, I still think that, but I like Marco Rubio. I like him. So he was on CBS Face the Nation with Margaret Brennan, and they were talking about the Russia-Ukraine negotiations. And, of course, Margaret Brennan being CBS, they have to crap all over it, even though he's the only one trying to do anything at this point. A little disappointed with the results and this whole lie. This could have been the fake news. I think it is. Fake news. I put it under the fake news segment, but we kind of skipped past it. This is a lie. This is a blatant lie that she's saying that Zelensky is coming to the U.S. or coming to a meeting with Trump with the leaders of Europe behind him because they're so angry with Trump that he's got his little bully squad with him to go, hey, Trump, this is how it's got to go. That's a lie. It's a lie. The European leaders knew about this meeting. Trump's administration called for this meeting. And you want the rest of Europe involved in it, at least. Them showing up doesn't automatically mean they're mad at Trump. And if they are, what are they mad at again? Just like I said, a guy trying to stop an unprecedented carnage that's going on right now. So let's listen to a little of this. I'll chop it off at some point. But here's Rubio talking with Margaret Brennan, CBS Face the Nation.
You know there is concern from the Europeans that President Zelensky is going to be bullied into signing something away. That's why you have these European leaders coming as backup tomorrow. Can you
No, it isn't. That's not why they're coming as back. That's not true. No, but that's not that's not true. They're not coming here tomorrow to keep Zelensky from being bullied. They're not coming.
That February Oval Office meeting
here
in front of television cameras where President Zelensky.
Do you know how many meetings we've had since then?
Oh, no, I know. And I was just up in Alaska watching the one with Vladimir Putin where a red carpet rolled out.
No, but it was Zelensky. We've had more meetings. We've had one meeting with Putin and like a dozen meetings with Zelensky. So, but that's not true. They're not coming here tomorrow to keep Zelensky from being bullied. They're coming here tomorrow because we've been working with the Europeans. We talked to them last week. There were meetings in the UK over the previous weekend.
And they said President Trump was going to demand a ceasefire
as early as Thursday. No. But you said that they're coming here tomorrow to keep Zelensky from being bullied. They're not coming here tomorrow. Oh, this is such a stupid media narrative that they're coming here tomorrow because Trump is going to bully Zelensky into a bad deal. We've been working with these people for weeks on this stuff. They're coming here tomorrow because they chose to come here tomorrow. We invited them to come. We invited them to come. The president invited them to come.
But the president told those European leaders last week that he wanted a ceasefire. The president went on television, said he would walk out of the meeting if Vladimir Putin didn't agree with one. He said there would be severe consequences if he didn't agree to one. He said he'd walk out in 2 minutes. He spent 3 hours talking to Vladimir Putin, and he did not get one. So there's
because obviously things happened during that meeting. Well, because obviously look, our goal here is not to stage some production for the world to say, oh, how dramatic, he walked out. Our goal here is to have a peace agreement to end this war, okay? And obviously we felt, and I agree.
There. It's the way she's talking. Trump said he's leaving. Do people appreciate the dynamic of peace talks? You got a leader, a world leader that's involved in a war that, truthfully, I don't think he's very happy with the way things are going. Anytime a leader is losing countrymen like that, can't imagine they're happy. And then you have this mainstream media shill going, well, Trump said he'd walk out. Not understanding that a conversation is dynamic, that things change, that perhaps he felt he was getting somewhere, and then maybe he wasn't, and then maybe he was again. They all think it's some crappy movie, some crappy action political drama movie where the woman goes in and beats up the Russian mafia and then negotiates. These are I believe, the most sensitive talks countries can have with each other when they involve war. literally lives are on the line every second you're in there speaking. So do you just make an assumption before you walk in? Well, if he doesn't capitulate in 3 minutes, I'm walking out. And then you're leaving a bunch more dead bodies out on a field somewhere? Or do you talk and maybe you say something like that as bravado, as a little kind of letting your opponent in the conversation know that you're serious about this and I want answers and I don't want to BS around. Do they understand? Have they read The Art of the Deal that Trump wrote? No, they look at anything he says, and if it doesn't actually happen exactly the way, not even he said it, the way they interpreted it, then he's once again, the worst president ever. He's terrible. He's kissing Putin's ass. He's not. These are negotiations to stop a war, something they didn't even do under the Biden administration. They actually prevented peace talks from happening. And now that it's happening and Trump didn't walk out after a couple of minutes, that he's handing something over to Putin, you cannot hate the mainstream media enough. How much do you hate him? Huh? How much? How much? Yeah, not enough. Not enough. It's disgusting. Just disgusting. I don't mean to use disgusting and then pick up Sandra from Jersey, but Sandra, how are you, dear?
I'm very well. How are you?
Very good. What's the beverage of choice this evening, Sandra?
Well, I was thinking about the guns, but I wanted to first say this to you. I really enjoyed your sharing the microphone with Sid Rosenberg last week.
Yes.
I loved it. I think you two have really good chemistry together, and maybe one of these days, even once a week, you two can be together like Bernie and Sid, maybe Anthony and Sid. That's what I was thinking.
You know, I think from the time I spent in radio exile and that time where Sid was building up a career, it might have to be Sid and Anthony. I don't know if it could be Anthony and Sid.
I meant that.
Just saying.
Yeah, of course.
Just saying. I don't know. Hey, maybe, Sandra. I don't know. But you're in luck because tomorrow in the noon hour, from noon to 1, myself and the great Mr. Sid Rosenberg are doing a show.
Oh, I love it.
Tomorrow. So very excited about that. Because like you, I do enjoy doing a show with Sid myself there, Sandra.
Yes. I picked up the chemistry, and I'm very perceptive like that.
Yeah.
And then I wanted to say one more thing. I love what Jacqueline said about the guns, whatever that proverb was. I know that it's not the guns that kill the people, it's the bullets. So maybe they ought to raise prices on bullets so people
that's an
won't
interesting
take. Right?
Well,
to not be in such a hurry to buy them, and then maybe they'll think twice before they shoot someone.
Well, how about we take care of we actually notice, we look at statistics and crime statistics and whatnot, and we try to figure out why there is a group of people, certain people in particular, not 100%, but, the majority, especially when you look at percentiles and per capita and try to understand why they are killing people at insane rates instead of looking at the tool being used to commit those crimes. Sandra, thank you so much. There goes Sandra. We can't do a show without getting Sandra's point of view every week. That's yeah. Anyway, she seems like a good egg. She does seem like a good egg. Let's see what's coming up. We got Janine Pirro. She's reacting to the press, the lying press again, saying that crime is down in D.C. This has been their go-to. since Trump has decided to crack down on the homeless problem and crime, this carjacking problem in D.C., and these teens, young ruffians, thugs, whatever they want to call them, in D.C., there is a problem. And they just want to keep telling you that crime is down. Oh, it's down. Well, do your statistics say they're down? Because there's plenty of ways to fudge stats. And I know plenty of cops, NYPD guys, and they have told me many, many times that what they do is they'll take something like an assault and they'll make the paperwork, they'll write out the paperwork as harassment. And now you have one less assault charge, which is a violent crime, and now you have a harassment. So they can say crime is down, violent crime is down. Meanwhile, the same crime happened. You just called it something else, and now your statistics can show that crime is down. It's not. Any sensible person that's looking out into the world these days knows crime is not down. And that seems to be an issue. So in a minute, we'll listen to Jeanine Pirro lambasting the media about this crime is down nonsense. Back in a flash. Jeanine Pirro was reacting to the media, the press, because, you know, they're liars. They're propaganda wings of the left. They have been for many, many years. They used to try to cover it up a little. There was that thing called plausible deniability. So if you called them on something, they could pull out a little card and go, hey, wait a minute, look at us. We're the eyes and ears of the people. We don't have a political affiliation. And then you'd go, oh, maybe they don't. Maybe. Well, they haven't even tried to hide it for years now. Years. Firmly in the pocket of the liberal left. And anything Trump tries to do, anything any Republican tries to do, they will make it sound like the worst thing ever. And they are the greatest, greatest people. They cared, you know. Oh, yeah. Yeah. The left, the Democrats, they constantly tell you how they care about the people. What a load that is. Imagine, like, I care about my family. That's who I really care about. And I will make sacrifices for my family, my loved ones. Anyone else, even people I do care about, I'm kind of looking at how I could get through this with my skin intact. With like, oh, I want to help you, but how is this going to affect me? I care to a point. And that's my friends, like my close friends. My family, number one. Close friends, number two. And I'm still thinking, how can I maybe get out of this? You mean to tell me politicians, the most lying ilk you'll ever find, cares so greatly about total strangers? They talk about it all the time. We are the party that cares. Because I care about the American people. I care for the working man. I care. Just think of yourself. You're not a piece of garbage. But you do have a limit as to who you're really going to, care about. Especially to the point where you're going to yell it out to the world. I care about my brother. There you go. I'll yell that out. My sister, I care about her. The homeless guy on 57th and 6th? I do not care about him. You couldn't force me to care about him. But the politicians, the most dishonest liars, will look you right in the face and profess to caring. It's such nonsense. So here's Janine talking to the lying media when the topic of crime in D.C. and Trump's attempt to curtail it with something. Again, he's doing something, for God's sake. And here's her reaction to the media.
Oh, stop it. We are putting all kinds of resources onto the street.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
Press release hailing the drop in crime rates at the end of it. What changed?
It's never enough. This changed. It's never enough. You tell these families crime has dropped. You tell the mother of the intern who was shot going out from McDonald's near the Washington Convention Center, oh, crime is down. You tell the kid who was just beat the hell and back with a severe concussion and a broken nose, crime is down. No, that falls on deaf ears. And my ears are deaf to that. And that's why I fight the fight. Thank you.
See? That's a great answer. They're trying to say crime is down. Yeah, when you're in a city like D.C. where crime is rampant, I mean, you talk to the people. They go out sometimes, and the entire street, their windows on their cars are busted, and they've taken whatever valuables might be in there. You tell them crime's down. And look, it might be. I doubt it. I don't believe it for a second. But let's say it's down. It's just what Janine said. How is that good enough? Is it just being down a couple of percentage points? That makes it okay that people are still being mugged and shot and carjacked? And even if they're not being harmed physically, property damage and burglaries, that's okay? They just don't get it. They have to crap on every single thing anyone on the right tries to do to help the American people. Unbelievable. All right, taking a quick break, but we will be back in moments. Matthew, what's up, my friend?
Hey, how are you?
Good.
To you.
Well, thank you.
So I just want to give you a little bit of my story here. I worked in New York City for 2.5 years, and I commuted from New Jersey, went into Port Authority, and it's just an absolute nightmare, during that 2.5 years with just seeing people like just maniacs out of Port Authority. You've got people literally standing in the streets, holding shovels, staring down people. People just, you had to pick a different route almost every day to be able to walk into Midtown to avoid some of the nonsense. And the day that I, ended my career in New York City, I walked in and I had somebody come up behind me, absolutely losing their mind, shouting hate, telling me how much they hated me. I had no idea who this person was. It was right there on 6th Avenue, right across Broadway, and they were losing their absolute mind right behind my back. And to the point where I literally had to dart into a random business just to get away from it.
Well, who was this gentleman?
Have no idea who it was. No,
just a random nut job on the street?
Complete random nut job on the street. Wasn't the first nor the last time I had to deal with that. I nearly got knocked over, with 3 guys knocking off a bodega at 8 o'clock in the morning, walking into work. It's insanity. It's really insane what's going on, and it's just not being reported. And it just ticks me off. And how do they expect people who are hardworking people to go in and work in the city when, the first thing you have to deal with getting off the bus in the morning at Port Authority is, nonsense? Whether it's people lying on the street or just insane people staring you down.
It'll get better under Mandani, I swear, because what he wants to do is not only continue with just allowing people to jump turnstiles to get onto the subway system without paying, because, anyone that wants to push someone in front of a train or carry all their worldly possessions onto a subway car and then assault people and harass them or offend them, their olfactory system with their smell, those are the people. They don't pay to get on the subway system and then ride it offending people or assaulting them. They get on for free. So now Mamdani wants to do that on the buses, too. So the only barrier that you've had over the course of the years has been that fare, the ability or the lack of ability of people to pay it so they can't get on the bus to harass you. Now Mamdani wants that free. So all those people that you see on the subway platforms because they've been jumping turnstiles, they will also now be on the buses. So Port Authority will be even better. Yeah.
I'd like to address one other thing with New York when it comes to their unemployment process, because their unemployment process is completely broken. And, it took me weeks of calling that number to, register my unemployment. And
I can't imagine the genius after all the automation for the call. I can't imagine the Mensa genius you must have gotten on the other end when you finally were able to speak to a person.
It took me 3 weeks to get a person on the phone. It was
using person
dial.
loosely, using that term person very loosely.
Brutal, absolutely brutal. And you know what? And my case was completely dropped. It was ridiculous. It was fighting tooth and nail just to be able to secure what was rightfully owed. And it was the first time in my entire life I ever had to deal with something like that. And
I don't know how people do it. I don't know how people do it. Matthew, you're lucky you at least live in Jersey. There are people that live in New York City and have to work there. At least you have somewhat of an escape to not have to pay the insane prices, deal with the lunatics, depending on what part of Jersey you're in. I hope you're in a place where you live that isn't that crazy. But, New York City it's screwed. It's effed, as they say. Matthew, thank you, man. I appreciate the call. What he talked about kind of fits in with what I wanted to go to next. With Trump cracking down on D.C., the crime, the homeless problem, and all these other cities now, they believe, because Trump is a dictator, he's a fascist, he is literally Hitler. Literally Hitler. So obviously he's doing terrible things and he's taking over and, D.C., he did that. Martial law, as Rosie said. So other cities now are saying, are we next? Are we next? And I don't know. Is it bad enough? Do you look around and go, boy, the government we've elected and put in place and the law enforcement they have appointed just isn't doing the job. There's a lot of crime and nastiness going on here. Also, D.C. is a whole different animal as far as Trump being able to actually have what they called this federal takeover. He can't just go into any city and do that. L.A. was a different issue. He was able to do that. There was protests or unrest going on. It wasn't protests. Unrest, let's call it. And you can call out the National Guard for that. But you can't just, hey, we don't like the crime stats in New York, so we're going to put the National Guard in here and take over your police department. It's not going to happen, so relax. Trump isn't the dictator they wish he was. They wish he was this dictator so they would be right when they call him a dictator, and there would be something that they could put up front and go, see, this is what a dictator does. Because he's doing everything in complete compliance with rules, regulations, laws, and the Constitution. But when you listen to a pair of people like the Reverend Al Sharpton and Spike Lee, they had a little talk about what might happen, what it might look like if Trump decided to use the same policies used in D.C. to curtail the crime and homelessness in New York City. Because, you know, the people in the Bronx and Brooklyn, they ain't putting up with that. And they're laughing about it. This, by the way, on the heels of a gang shooting where people were killed and injured. All people of color were killed and injured. There wasn't a white person there that was in the fray. The perpetrators were people of color. And these shootings that happen in New York City, the 5 boroughs, are, I mean, statistically, 100%. You might get a plus or minus 1% that it's not a person of color, black or Hispanic. But here you have 2 guys that are supposedly respected people. You know, you got filmmaker Spike Lee. He's won all kinds of awards. The great Reverend Al, who's never slipped a race card on the table in his life. Just wonderful people. And you listen to them talk, they're laughing as they talk about how New York would never put up with the Trump's plan and what he's done in D.C. of trying to curtail violent crime that are killing. It's the people of color are being killed. Let's be real. We all get a little mad. We see, you know, oh, this dumb white guy decided to wander into a place he wasn't supposed to. And he argued and he said, hey, I'm with you, BLM, and, got dispatched with a chunk of lead to the head. But these guys are laughing. They're laughing at the prospect that someone might want to do something about the insane amount of violent crime in New York City that is affecting predominantly black communities. So let's listen to these 2 geniuses talking. Spike Lee, Reverend Al on Reverend Al's show.
We're, as you know, this country right now it's bananas, and this guy trying to take over D.C. and just weaponize these things. And I mean, he's going to think twice to try to do that in New York, though. Then the boogie down, Harlem, that side do or die.
Gonna be a different kind of reaction.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be very different.
What? More violence? What's the different reaction? What is Bed-Stuy not going to allow if law enforcement decides to really start cracking down on the obvious violent crime going on? This isn't some excuse to use racism and round up people of color. Just looking at the crime and the violent crime and the murders going on in New York City. What is Bed-Stuy going to do what's Bed-Stuy going to do if some policy is put in place to really crack down on this? Not allow it? React with violence? How could you not want your own people to be safer than they are now? And I'm not talking about safer under this boot on your neck, safer under some oppressive police state. We're talking being safer by taking the criminals off the street, by stopping the people that are committing horribly violent crimes against your own community off the street. And Reverend Al and Spike Lee decide that's something to laugh and go, oh, yeah, you try that. The mindset's unbelievable. Unbelievable. Back in a flash with more of the Anthony Cumia Show. I love Hollywood, celebrity. If you've listened to this program or any other program I've done over the course of the years, you know the utmost respect I have for celebrities and their opinions. They're never at a loss for words. And they're actors. These are actors. They act. No matter what they're doing or saying, they are acting. I have a theory about actors. They are empty vessels. They don't have real personalities. They are whatever the writer puts in their head, and they're whatever the director tells them where to walk and stand and pick up. That's why some people are great actors. The better you are as an actor, the less of a real human being you are. The less of a real person you have within you. I truly believe that. And it comes out, and it's come out over the course of the years when they used to just shut up and act on The Tonight Show and other various talk shows. They were acting. But they were playing a character that they wanted the people to believe they were. So they were still acting. Once they got this bug in their head that they honestly believed people wanted to hear what they had to say, it all came apart. It all crumbled. People went, oh, no, they're idiots. Oh, my God, they're nothing. They're not even idiots. They don't have the mental capacity to be an idiot. They just are nothing, void. They are devoid of anything. So I love it when they start yapping about stuff because it just proves my point. This is another one bites the dust. Another actor that I've enjoyed some of their movies, and now you just look and go, oh, this jackass. Ethan Hawke. Ethan Hawke. Here he is. He's talking about Trump and MAGA and how terrible things are right now. And meanwhile, you look around, not that terrible. Probably from his gated Hollywood community, things aren't going the way him and his cronies would like, so he probably sees it as terrible. But let's listen to this. Another actor just rambling and destroying whatever kind of reputation he had as somebody that might know what they're talking about. Go ahead, Ethan.
A large percentage of the people that I know that support the unmentionable
dramatic music
host, what they admire about him is that he doesn't seem chained to some kind of political correctness, and it makes him seem like a maverick. That people somehow feel comfortable enough to cheer and laugh when Donald Trump is mocking somebody by calling them Pocahontas, right? We're going to get the leaders in this life that we deserve, and if we walk around and we think that stuff is funny, if our elected officials aren't, demanding ethical higher ground, then we're in a very dangerous place. And I find that kind of jingoistic hate to be terrifying because it's always, history shows it's always the easy way. Whenever we're upset and whenever we're angry, if somebody gives us a chance to express our anger, it feels good temporarily because it feels like a place to put your rage. What it usually does is, create a cycle of violence.
Everything he said was good. Like, you want an outlet for your anger. You want, if a bunch of people are angry about something, you want to commiserate. And you want to go, oh, good, I'm not alone on this. Other people are pissed that this is happening or that's happening. What? And Trump, he's not, it's this guy, he will say something and then you can't even grab hold of it or be what like the cult-like Biden administration where you just assumed he didn't have Alzheimer's because you were told that. And then his acting, like the voice, that's what I'm talking about. They're just acting. And moral high ground, these guys are, how can you think that any politician or party, I'll throw the Republicans right in there too, because it goes to what I was saying earlier about caring. There's no moral high ground in politics. Does he actually think that the Democrats and Liz Warren, who, Trump was calling Pocahontas and he had a problem with it, she was the one calling herself an American Indian when it turns out she was not. But Trump's the problem for saying Pocahontas, making a joke out of it? Should have been arrested. Moral high ground. The moral high ground. Show me one politician that has ever taken the moral high ground. Maybe they fooled you. But if you look deep into something, these bastards, they are all about themselves. Politicians are just like Hollywood actors. They play a part. They lie for work. That's what they do. Actors are handed a script, and they lie about who they are. If you're good at lying, you could talk and convince people you're someone you're not, and you're saying words that you didn't come up with. You're pretty much lying. And if you're really good at it, they give you awards. And politicians are the same thing. They are just saying what they feel they need to say in order to get what they need for themselves. Continue their job. Look at these guys. They hang in there for their entire lives, lying to the people, handing out breadcrumbs every election so that people will vote for them again, making unbelievable amounts of money on a $170,000 a year paycheck, is it? So it's no different. That, I think, is why the liberal Hollywood and liberal politicians, and even not liberal, look, again, I'll throw all of them into the mix here. Politicians are liars. They might even be worse than actors, because at least actors are given lines and everyone knows they're not really that person, or for the most part. When they're speaking their lines in a movie, you go, oh, that's Ethan Hawke. That's not that guy. Politicians are like, no, this is me. I'm Chuck Schumer. And then he's just lying. He's just blurting out lines that aren't real. Unbelievable. Back in a second with more of the show. I thought a good palate cleanser here, because it kind of fits in with what Ethan Hawke, the fabulous Ethan Hawke, was saying about Pocahontas. How do you look at someone like Liz Warren that professed to be an Indian, an American Indian? This could be the biggest racist thing a politician's done, trying to get yourself ahead. She cares. I care about the Native Americans. And then she calls herself an American Indian when she's not, in order to get into a school. I mean, that right there is caring. I care. It shows you don't care. You care about yourself. I think they're all raging narcissists. You have to be. Oh, I am perfectly capable of representing tens of thousands, if not millions of people. I'm the guy. I could represent everyone. If that isn't a narcissistic mindset. So this is a quick clip, but I just found it so funny. It's Trump talking about Liz Warren And I believe he speculates if she's insane or on drugs. And I have to agree with him. This is this is really funny. Whenever you see Liz, she seems off, doesn't she? Like I don't like looking at politicians that are supposed to be representing Americans and go, that person is insane. Now, I understand there is a portion of the American public that is insane. So if that's the criteria for representing those people, that you too have to be insane, then I say, go, Liz, go. But she's insane, and I think she's supposed to be representing people that aren't insane. But here's Trump talking about Liz. A little sorbet for the palate for a couple of seconds here.
It's so vicious what they do. Elizabeth Warren said she was an Indian. We call her Pocahontas. She's a liar. She lied her whole career. Based on the fact that she was an Indian, she was able to get into certain colleges, get certain jobs, get into certain universities to work there. She's a liar and a mean person. She's a nut job. I watched her the other night. She's all hopped up endorsing a communist in New York City. And she was all excited and jumping up and down. She's got to take a drug test. She really does. She's got to take a drug test. There's no way somebody can act that way and be normal. What she's done to our financial institutions, she destroys people. Do you know that you had a lot of great banks in the Midwest and banks that loaned to farmers and others, and they went out of business? She put them out of business. Stone cold mean. Banks that were open 150 years, family banks that supplied the farmers and manufacturers and others, and she put them out of business. She's a mean, horrible human being.
I love it. That's great. Where do you get that? We're going to miss this guy. I don't care what you say. We are going to miss this guy. That right there, he's a straight shooter. Oh, my God. Larry, Staten Island. You got something on Spike and the great Reverend Al Sharpton? Larry.
Yes, I do. How you doing, Big Ant?
Good.
First of all, Tonto was more Indian than Liz Warren was.
Of course. We all saw that.
One.
And meanwhile, Trump told her to take a DNA test. She did and failed miserably. She's no Indian. Now he's telling her to take a drug test. Maybe she folds to the pressure and takes it, and we find out what kind of psychotropic drugs she's on.
Now, let's move on to Fat Al and that little punk Spike Lee.
Yeah.
Here they are trying to fan the fires to raise up the community. First of all, let me just talk about Al Sharpton and Sonny Carson. Tuesday is the 34th anniversary of the riots in Crown Heights. How do I know? I dodged more bottles than Carter's got liver pills that day. But these people don't understand. This isn't when 1968 when Martin Luther King was shot and we saw trucks with military trucks of troops going through the areas of cities burning. This is a move by the Trump administration to put additional personnel into areas where there are spikes in crimes and to stabilize those areas.
Exactly,
So the good week of people in the city can go to the old people can go to the medical station, can go shopping, can go to the bank. That's all this is about.
Right.
How could you be against prevention of crime? God knows.
They want to make it, Larry, they want to make it seem like it's this oppression, this racist MAGA oppression on their communities. Meanwhile, you talk to people, if the media actually went out and talked to the regular Joes out there and the grandmas and everyone in these communities, they would say, thank you. Because I've seen some of these clips. I can walk to the CVS now. I could take my grandkid to the park for the past couple of days. They think it's oppressive. It's helping the very people that they say they care about and, their communities. And they just don't want to have Trump be responsible for curtailing crime because it looks bad for them.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Tony.
I love it, Larry. Thank you, my friend. Staten Island, the only sane borough in the whole damn city. Ugh. What the hell is wrong with New York, my friends? Why am I all of a sudden sounding like I'm 80-year-old Jewish man? What is happening? Yeah, this is a good one too. This is what's been happening. Like, Trump has done a lot of stuff. The crime thing is the latest, but the big beautiful bill, and the SNAP, and the welfare, and the Section 8 housing, and all this. Years and years ago, let me tell you a little story, kids. Sit down, get your pajamas on. When I was a little tyke growing up, my dad and mom divorced. My dad went out to California. I guess he figured, I need to get as far away from this woman as is humanly possible and still stay in the continental United States. So my mom was raising myself, my brother Joe, and my sister Dawn by herself. She worked quite a few jobs. We never wanted for anything. And but she worked hard for it. And we knew she worked hard for it. Christmas was never a disappointment. We had gifts and birthdays, and dinner was always, we didn't have store brand stuff or anything. It was Del Monte and Green Giant, and she made sure that we had everything we needed. When school came up, the supplies we had little ridiculous shirts and ties. We're tied to school like I was making a business deal. Because that's what a caring, loving parent does. They're not looking for an angle. They're not looking to screw someone over and utilize their kids to get something. Now, they have so many iterations of welfare programs. And by the way, there's no shame to it. I'm not even talking about the people. The people have no shame. They're yelling for more. But there was a shame factor to handing over what were called food stamps back in the day, as I like to call it. And if you were at a checkout in a supermarket and you pulled those food stamps out, the people didn't want their faces to be seen. They were embarrassed. And look, some people genuinely needed them, and it was just embarrassing. Embarrassment is a great, or at least was, a great motivator. People used to not want to be embarrassed. I swear, kids. There's young people now watching going, what? But everyone wants to be embarrassed now. You yell at a McDonald's, you throw things around, you argue with the cops, you're on welfare, you have 20 kids. Don't people want to be embarrassed? No. Back then, people did not even want to be embarrassed. I swear, look it up. So that's how it used to work. There was an incentive to get off of welfare just because you felt bad being on welfare. Imagine that. Imagine that your feelings and your dignity was the drive behind wanting to get off of welfare. Yeah. Swear. Now, there is no embarrassment, no pride, no anything. There's actually, this is it. Where's mine? I want more. So now Trump, big beautiful bill, he's made it so that people that are able to work have to work. I know, crazy. It's like the gulag. But that's what it is now. And lo and behold, that lack of embarrassment I'm telling you about, there are people going online, putting themselves on video to complain that they are now required to work to either get a lower amount on their welfare or they're going to be cut off anyway. The point here is you have to work. You're able to. If you're disabled, you can still be on welfare, SNAP, whatever it is. But if you are capable of working, you have to work. And this is an injustice. Here's a woman angry, and putting her face on the internet that she has to now work to get her benefits. Watch. Listen.
In 2 years, I'm going to lose my housing. All because the guidelines for Section 8 have changed since you-know-who got into office.
Could you pause this for a second, please, at the studio? Did you hear what she said? In 2 years, I'll lose my housing. Could you imagine? You went through school, maybe even college. Maybe you went into the trades. And it's not your parents you're living with. But somehow, some way, you got 2 years of housing for nothing, for free, to build yourself up, build up a nest egg, build a career, just something that after that 2 years, you have a launching point. She's bitching that she only has 2 years to do something with her life to be a contributing member of society instead of a burden. And again, not an ounce of guilt or embarrassment putting her dumb frig face online for everyone to see as she complains about this. Let's continue.
That if you have a child that is school aged, meaning if you don't have to stay home with your child, you have to be able to obtain employment, have a full-time job, and you cannot be on Section 8 past 2 years unless you have a disability. Can you believe that?
Yeah.
Can you believe that?
Yes, I can.
God forbid I have the stress of being a single mother, right? I have to depend on the government to help pave my way. Because
okay, pause again, because
it's really hard raising a child.
This is another thing. Remember, I don't know, I know I probably skew a little older than I did when we were putting girls in 55-gallon drums and dumping fish guts on them. So I'm assuming there's some people here who might remember something called the 80s. This woman is complaining about working and having kids and having to lead a life that we all had to lead. This is what living in this country is. You weren't supposed to just get a free ride. And back then there was this criteria where you had to work and you were embarrassed by not working and earning and supporting this family. Here's another thing about the 80s that something that was going on back then. There was this big push to empower single moms. If you remember, Murphy Brown had an episode of her show where she was going to be a single mom. And the Republicans and conservatives and Dan Quayle, if you remember, lost their minds. This is teaching the wrong thing to our kids. A marriage, a husband, a wife, a father, a mother, and the kids is the best road to a successful child. And everyone blew up at that. I blew up at it. I thought, who cares? Whatever. But when you have a woman like this that's having children and has been empowered by this illusion that single motherhood is just as good for everyone involved as a family with a mother and a father and a kid. Well, it turned out to be crap, didn't it? That turned out to be garbage. This woman is dependent on a system of welfare because she somehow decided that she needs to be a single mom. And yes, she decided. She didn't make the proper choices. And of course, some people, mistakes happen. You know, pregnancies, breakups. I get it. But this is rampant. Stuff like this is rampant. Single motherhood. And if you talk ill of it, you're the problem. You're the whatever. I don't even know what it ist or phobe that falls under. Let's hear a little more, can we?
Out on your own. When the government is pretty much your baby daddy, you know?
Baby daddy.
You know you're going to get that check every single month. You know it's going to hit every single month, so you don't have to stress about it. And now, in 2 years, I'm not going to be able to use the government assistance that I need. That's great.
2 years. Imagine getting a 2-year head start because you decided to make some crappy decisions in your life. And now you're dependent on taxpayers, the government, taxpayers, me, you, all of us. She depends on us to raise her kids, house her and her kids for the unbelievably short period of time that is 2 years. And she can't even fathom getting her crap together in a 2-year period to where she is self-sufficient. She wants to remain on the government till for her entire life. And we're just supposed to go, all right. She's mad about it. She's yelling at us about it. That's how insane it has gotten. This has to be remedied. This has to be remedied. I don't care how mean it sounds. You know, kids worked in coal mines. There was something called the Depression. We need to bring that kind of horrible life back. All right. Back in a minute. Anthony Cumia's show. How about Judy in Manhattan Island? What's up, Judy?
Hi. A few years ago, I heard a congressman say on the radio that he thinks there should be a law that if you do not work, if you're on public assistance and you don't work and you're able to, then you should not be allowed to vote.
Right.
And they should consider that because when Obama was running for office, I was asking people, why are you voting for Obama? And all I could hear is more welfare, more food stamps. And when he got in, people were running around here telling me, did you get your Obama phone?
The Obama phone. I remember that. I got an Obama phone. Oh, yeah, Judy. I remember that.
And did you get this and did you that? And I said, no. Do you have, are you on welfare? No. You have Medicare, Medicaid? No. Food stamps? No. Well, what do you have? A job.
Yeah, a job. I have a paycheck. Oh, yeah. It became this just entitlement. And like I said, there was, you got to remember, Judy, the embarrassment of being on welfare. It was something that, what was it? A movie or a show where some woman was complaining to a cop that, or somebody that she couldn't afford food for her kid. And he goes, go down to the police station, sign up for welfare. It was an insult. It was something that was, you did anything in your power you could possibly do to avoid going on welfare. And now it's become a generational thing, like a family career where the grandma, the mother, the kids, they all end up on welfare and never work a day in their life.
And they need someone, they need to understand, because when I ask them, where does the money come how does the government get the money to support them? They don't know. They don't realize, and maybe they should stop calling it welfare and call it taxpayer funded.
Yeah, well, they never give anything the true name because they want it to sound better than it really is. That's why things are called the SAFE Act and the Patriot Act, all those things. So if they actually named it what it is, people wouldn't like it. It's like, I don't want to be on that. That sounds like something people wouldn't appreciate me for. So,
Right.
yeah, I get you, Judy. Hey, thanks for the call, Judy. There she goes, Judy in Manhattan. Picture of the east side. Just got a cat. Let me give you some food. I'm going to open the window so you could talk to your friends. Mayor Adams slams Mamdani for wanting to, what do you think? Yes, decriminalize prostitution. He says, I don't know where in his Quran it states that's okay. I don't care about the religious angles on prostitution. Obviously, Adams is going to go after that. It's almost like, and I hate using the word, a dog whistle, perhaps. It's something like, oh, he's a Muslim. Well, prostitution, you wrap your women up like a Jolly Rancher. Why would you want them to be prostitutes? I am not for legalizing prostitution. And I don't care that, if you're a woman and, you go out to dinner, a guy blows a few bucks on you, you reciprocate. I'm kidding. A guy blows a few bucks on you. It's a fine line sometimes between technically what's prostitution and what is just a guy spending money on you. And that line varies. Gets very gray in certain areas. But prostitution is a terrible thing. It's not the movies. This isn't, Richard Gere. It's a terribly abusive criminal enterprise. And the women are treated horribly. Many of them end up addicted to drugs, dying on the streets, horrible sexual abuse, murder. And to think that it's this victimless crime is crazy. So the idea that Mamdani would want to decriminalize this, and again, it's just he gets in, decriminalizes it. Now he could say crime's down. Really? Is it? It's probably the worst thing a woman can do. We've seen so many documentaries on this where women just get ravaged. They have no say in it. They're not making the money. You watch Trading Places. Oh, I'm just doing prostitution to invest. And then I'm going to put it in this, and I could make millions by the time No, it doesn't work that way. All right, kids. We'll be back next Sunday. Join us then, won't you, please? Tomorrow I am with Sid Rosenberg, 12 to 1 p.m. Join us for that. And thanks for tuning in. See you next time.